Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rich Batts, and this is my Module 5 practice. So the activity that I chose to do would be a photosynthesis lab. So during this lab, a couple materials that you're going to need. We'll start with the materials, then go through the step-by-step walkthrough, and then I'll conclude with kind of a overarching topic within this category. So some of the materials that you're going to need: plastic see-through cup. You want to be able to see the leaves rising, leaf discs rather, as it's going through. The straw in order to poke the hole through the leaves. The leaves are also something that's pretty important. A syringe, some water, sodium bicarbonate, which is just baking soda. Light source or a lamp. A lamp works better because you can kind of direct that light a little bit easier. Some soap, and then a mixer, either a spoon or a stir rod, anything that you kind of have around would work. Gram scale, and then again a timer as well to kind of keep track of how fast they rise. So step one, and I also have trial one there because the first trial students are going to go through kind of a cookie cutter type assembly, going through the steps that it has laid out for them. And then trial two is when they get to investigate deeper, when they get to have that inquiry aspect, and when they get to kind of find and manipulate different variables and try and see what is the most impactful in photosynthesis. So step one, we have to make the 0.1% bicarbonate solution, so we're going to take it by mixing half of a gram of baking soda with 2 cups of water, kind of make that big solution, a couple drops of liquid soap, and then kind of mix gently. You want to try and avoid all those bubbles, because if you have a ton of those bubbles, then obviously you're not going to be able to see the leaves as clearly. So then your next step, you're going to punch the holes from the leaf. No set number, but you want to have a good bit of them. Spinach leaves work very well, so do ivy leaves. But you want to get a bunch of leaves, that way you can kind of, obviously have a good representation. So if you're using the straw, like shown in that top picture there, what you can do is just kind of blow them down into the syringe, such as in that bottom picture. Or if you're using like a hole puncher, you can just dump them down and place them all down afterwards in general. So then after you get your leaf discs into the syringe, kind of pour 150 milliliters of the bicarbonate solution into a cup. That's going to be your cup for your group. Draw some of it into the syringe. And then notice in that top left picture there, all the leaves are floating, so we want to try and get the air out of them so that way that they're not floating. So you want to hold it upside down, and then what you want to do is kind of put your thumb on the stopper, so on that very top part, as you can see in the picture on the right, and pull down on the plunger. So if you pull that down, you're going to create a slight vacuum, and you're going to see the bubbles coming out of the leaf discs. That's going to be the air being released back out, or being released out of them rather. So once you pull that out, they all should sink because now there's nothing causing them to float. So once you see all your discs sink, then you can pour it back into your solution as mentioned down here. And they should all sink to the bottom. If they don't, you can probably just take that one or two that might be floating still out, but if they all sank when you were doing it up here, then it should be fine. So then you want to set up your light fixture and then kind of record the time for each leaf cut to rise, to come back up, and then kind of go from there. And as they're going through this, they're going to be thinking critically, thinking about how they're going to manipulate their variables. What variable can they manipulate? Can they manipulate the light intensity? Can they manipulate what wavelengths pass through the cup, or how much CO2 is in the water by increasing or decreasing the baking soda that they add? So trial two is now it's same setup. You're still going to have to go through to get the air out of the leaves, that sort of stuff. However, now you're going to see what you can do in order to manipulate different variables to make the leaves disc float faster, so make them rise faster. So basically increasing the rate of photosynthesis. So their essential question from this is going to be, which variable can have the most impact on photosynthesis? Could it be the different light bulbs, different fluorescent lights, different wavelengths of light, or light intensity? You can wrap the film around the beaker to block certain wavelengths from passing, seeing if that plays a role. And then also different temperature solutions, if a warmer solution or a colder solution causes the rate to change at all. So the first trial is pretty much your control, and then after that is going to be your the rest of your experiment. So those are kind of my step-by-step instructions of this experiment, of this lab. correlates back into photosynthesis, and then you can kind of tie this in with global warming. You can tie it in with deforestation and how these things are all affecting photosynthesis, and how one day we might have to be manipulating these variables for photosynthesis to happen. So thank you guys for watching another video, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of this activity that I have laid out for you. Thank you for listening.